Realtors, today I'm going to show you how to skyrocket your lead generation, even though most real estate agents shy away from this, and this is leases. Leases are a goldmine of opportunity for real estate, and because of a common misconception that they're just not worth your time because they don't pay that much money like a sale would, they're missing out on opportunity because they're doing it wrong. So what I'm going to show you in today's video is equip you with the right strategies, tips and tricks, and even how to use technology to skyrocket this and turn every lease into future sales. So if you want to learn more, keep watching. Hey everybody, it's me, Jacob Shireman, your real estate marketing expert. I have over 17 years of marketing experience specializing in web design and SEO, and I take that experience to help you grow your real estate business. So if you want to see more content like this, go ahead and subscribe to my channel, give this video a like, hit that notification bell so you're notified every time I release new content. And if you want to get my resources, training, courses, and coaching for free at no extra cost or split to you, take a look at partnering with me at eXp Realty inside the Agent Wolfpack, and there's a link below where you can click to book a one-on-one call with me to learn more. So let's dive into today's topic. So today we're talking about skyrocketing our lead generation, and that's with leases. And leases, usually every time I mention leases, especially to new agents, they always give me that side, like, I don't want to do leases. It's a lot of work. I don't get a lot of pay. And that might be true for certain areas, but if you do it correctly, it can actually be one of the most profitable lead generation strategies you have, because it requires little effort if you do it correctly and you set the right expectations with your client. And you have to remember that those are future buyers and sellers, or you don't know who they know and can refer to you. So you can spend a little time helping these people get paid for the lease and get referrals and potential clients that might want to buy or sell their home. And so if you look at the cost analysis, it's a lot cheaper than spending money on a ton of ads and taking all that time and effort and not having anything for several months when you could have done a few leases and continue to build your database or your CRM. So don't fall into that misconception, because you hear from top producing leasing agents and, top buyers agents, and they tell you, no, I don't mess with leases. It's not worth my time. It's not worth their time because they already have the clients coming in. But if you are stuck in your business, you don't have a real estate lead, you should not be saying no to leases, especially if you need the money. It's expensive to be a real estate agent than to sit around with nothing to do, no potential. And there are a ton of people that want to lease, especially in a market like Houston and some of these bigger markets where a lot of people can't afford to go buy a home. And when you live in bigger cities like New York City and things like that, leases are prominent. So those leasing agents are making a great salary doing leases, but they pay more. So how do you maximize all that? So what I want to give you today is all the strategies that I use when doing leases. And even the very first lease I did a few years ago is turning into a buyer's client right now. And immediately, the moment I helped him get into a great apartment, I made decent money on top of that, because it only took me 2 days to get him into an apartment and I was done. And I made more than most people make in a week off of that lease. And on top of that, he immediately gave me referrals to people he knew in the area, because he was relocating from Atlanta here to Houston, and I was working with those clients, helping them. So this is a great way to quickly get into this whole kind of relationship business and start building your credibility. And it's a great way to practice working with clients and not lose a big buyer deal or seller deal. You're just working with a lease, and it's a lot less stressful. So let's dive into these strategies. All right, let's talk about getting leases and what type of leases are more profitable and things to consider when deciding to pivot to this strategy. So usually there's two types of leases that you can do. One is when a landlord uses a real estate agent and wants to put it on the MLS. So you have the MLS agreement. Usually it's for 1 month's rent, and the listing agent and the leasing agent, they split the first month's rent half and half. That's pretty standard, at least here in Houston. I know it might vary between area and country, but that's one type. So it's a quicker payout because you are having the landlords already set that money aside, and they're going to pay the leasing agent and you. Now, the second type of lease is to go to like an apartment complex. Now, you have to be careful with apartment complexes. One, they take out a lot longer to pay you. at least 60 days. The first lease I did was with an apartment complex. It did pay more than the MLS because I wasn't splitting it with an agent. So I got a first month's rent with that particular apartment, but it took about 3 months to get the money. And the reason why is they want the tenant to be there at least 60 days. So they got at least a full first month's rent, because a lot of them have specials and things to move in. And then after they've been there 60 days, then they'll submit the paperwork for you to get paid out. So there's a lot more work in that because you have to track that, which is really easy to do. You can do that in a spreadsheet and things like that, set calendar reminders, but it takes a lot longer to get paid out, but you can get paid more from those deals. So it's good to have a mixture of both, especially since the MLS will typically pay out faster, and then you can have some of those other worked in, so you're constantly having some paychecks coming in. Now, typically, like I said, with the MLS, you'll get a lot lower. So if you go find a house for rent for $2,000, you're going to make $1,000 versus finding an apartment, that's $1,800, you're going to make close to $1,800, obviously minus your brokerage fees. Now, so there are some pros and cons. Now, when you're working with apartments, there's a couple of things that you need to ask when you're going with somebody that's not listing the apartment in the MLS. The first thing is when you're working with your client and they say, hey, I really like this apartment over here. So what you need to do is call that apartment and see if they work with realtors and apartment locators. So what you're going to do is ask them that, and then ask them, hey, what are your terms? Do I need to be there? How does it work? And they're going to tell you a lot of times you need to be there on the appointment card that they fill out, the visitor card. And on top of that, you need to make sure that you are on the lease as the apartment locator. Because if you mess up on that, your client doesn't follow instructions, guess what? You don't get paid and they don't care because they just save some money. So you want to make sure that, and then also ask them, how much do you pay realtors to help, bring a tenant over? And a lot of them will tell. Some apartments only pay a couple $100. Some will pay, 50% of the first month, 75, sometimes they'll pay a full month. So you can call around ahead of time if you're going to specialize in area and know the apartments that you can recommend your clients that fit within their criteria. I had some apartments when I've worked with clients, they'll tell me, oh, I like this apartment. I know that apartment doesn't work with them. And I'll tell them, hey, they don't work with realtors. You're more than happy to go check that out on your own, but there's nothing I can do to help you through that process. And if you want to go with them just to go, you can. But don't influence them to not take that apartment because they don't pay you. So be ethical with it. Make sure they get the best apartment for them, but they'll know, that's how you get paid. So make sure you're asking those questions to the apartment and make sure that you are on top of them to get paid, because they won't just automatically remember. I had to call and say, hey, it's been 60 days. Can you please submit this? And then had to keep following up with my check. So yes, it is a little more work in that end, especially with the apartments versus the MLS, but it is worth it. Like I said, that particular lead I was talking about turned into a potential buyer client this year, and he referred other people. So it's just a gold mine. You don't know who they know. And on top of that, you're getting paid for kind of fostering relationships on top of that. So make sure you do that. And then with the MLS, obviously you can search, send them, search results. You're a little more limited, especially for apartments. You'll see a lot more condos and houses, but it all depends what your client is looking for. So make sure you go through those steps so you don't waste time and possibly lose the paycheck as well. All right, let's talk about setting some proper expectations for your clients. So that way you're not wasting a lot of time, because this can be a profitable business. Because if a lot of agents shy away from leases, guess what? You could get potential listings as well. And on top of that, you can snag up all the leases available. So there are several ways, and we'll talk about how to get those leases. But I want to talk about setting the right expectations, because if you do this systematically, this could be, again, a great just stream of income for you as well. So just like when you're working with a buyer, you need to set the right expectation about the number of properties you're going to go visit. This is why a lot of people don't want to be a buyer's agent, because they allow the buyer to dictate what's going on. You are the professional. There's no reason you should be taking somebody to go see 10, 15, 20 properties. There's enough pictures online. There's enough research that you can do ahead of time to tell them and show them what's available, okay? You can even request more photos, more pictures from the listing agent and the apartment complex themselves. So make sure that you're not just saying, oh, well, I might be interested in that. I have some clients that say, oh, for giggles, let's just go. No, Don't do that. Value your time. If you value the time, they're going to value your business as well because you're looking out for their best interest. They shouldn't be wanting to waste their time either. So usually what I'll do is I'll tell them, hey, let's set it, 4, 5, 6 apartments to go look at. I'll block out some time for them and I'll be like, this is it. And let's go look at your top ones. And once we look at them, you need to be ready to make an offer on one of those because we've already done the research ahead of time. I've already asked them, well, what do you think about this? You said you wanted this, but it doesn't have that. Are you sure you're okay with that? So make sure you're asking them questions, really getting them to consider, because most of the time they're going to go there and they knew they didn't want it anyways. They feel desperate sometimes. So make sure you ask the important questions, get to know what they're really looking for, location, amenities, things like that, so you don't waste your time, and be very firm about that. And if they want to waste your time, let them go to somebody else. Value your time and they will value it as well. All right, let's talk about some ways to get some rental clients. So some things you could do is go to like a networking event for real estate investors. This is a great way to actually get listings. A lot of times they want to flip and sell. So you could get those listings if you prove yourself as well, or you can see what's available for rent. Maybe they haven't put it on the market yet and they'll let you put it on the market, and you could try to actually get the leasing client as well so you can keep all of the commission. So those are some things that you can do. Great way to network and see what's out there. You can also scour the MLS and see what has been just listed, find rentals, maybe it's houses or condos in your area that you want to promote that maybe have a good price point to make it worth your time, and reach out to the listing agent and say, hey, would you mind if I share this listing across all of my social media and maybe do a video on it? And then what you can do is you can put it across all of your social media to your followers. You could boost the listing for a short period of time on social media for literally, $5, $10 a day, maybe for 3 to 5 days, and see if you can get leads from that. And then you want to link the actual listing to your IDX website. So that way, if they go to your website, you can capture the lead there as well. You could actually put stuff in Facebook Marketplace. So post the listing that you got permission to promote, post it in Facebook Marketplace. And again, make sure you're putting very little information about it, so they'll reach out to you to learn more. And on top of that, you're putting your IDX link to your website for that listing because you want them to go to your website and book a time with you to see that property. So that's some ways. You could also run ads to, check out the most up-to-date listing of houses and apartments for rent in Houston. And then you can immediately call that client like an apartment locator would and literally talk to them and see what they're looking for and convert that client. So that's a great way to do that as well. So you can do that and then just talk to people. Go to colleges, campuses, things like that, and put out things that, hey, looking for an apartment to rent or home to rent, work with me. I'll help you find exactly what you need. So you could go to colleges and things like that for housing, maybe military bases, things like that. There's so many different type of networking things you can do where people need help finding the right apartment, where maybe they just don't want to be in an apartment, they want a house, but they don't know how to find the right rental house, and vice versa. So many different ways. Just get out there, start posting, start, thinking about when you were looking for a rental, where did you go? What did you do? And then start getting at it. All right, so as we wrap up this video, I want to go over some other things to think about as you're doing this, some networking potentials and some other strategies as well that most people don't think about. As you're out there helping clients, think about all the networking possibilities. Always be thinking about the future. Why a lot of real estate agents fail is they're always worried about the now, that they don't get the now and they miss the future. And 6 months from now, they should have been doing things to set them up for that future. And now they don't have that as well. So don't just get caught up in the now. I understand you got to make money, but think about all the relationships you're building. A lot of agents I've seen, they're nasty with the property manager, they're nasty with the leasing agent, and nobody wants to work with them. One, that doesn't leave a good impression on your client. You might think that you look like somebody that's in charge and you're cutthroat and you're getting them, but it's not a good energy to be around. Be very pleasant to the property managers, the leasing agents, bring them business, come in maybe with some donuts or something for the property, build those relationships, because people that are coming in to rent apartments, they might be asking them, hey, do you know of a realtor? We just want to move here temporarily while we're looking for a house. We're new to the area. They can refer out to, they're going to refer a realtor. So make sure you're the realtor they're referring. Or they could be asking, the leasing agent could ask them, hey, I know you're wanting to move. Are you working with a realtor right now? Maybe they don't qualify for an apartment there, or there's not an apartment they want. A lot of times they'll recommend a realtor and say, oh, he'll be able to help you find the right apartment. He's helped plenty of clients here. So think about the relationships that you're building. This should be all across, whether you're working with buyers or sellers. You should always be building relationships with everybody that you work with. Be pleasant to work around, and don't be that stereotypical used car salesman kind of type of realtor that people don't like. Be a joy, go above and beyond for people within reason, and just have a good positive energy, and that will definitely help you. So network with property managers, network with all of those people, because they have tons of people coming to them every day that they could refer to you as well. And one last thing I want to leave you with too is that, remember, when you're working with rental clients, ask a lot of questions, because they might be wanting to buy a home and they just might be thinking that they don't qualify. And so a lot of times I'll ask them, hey, are you wanting to buy a home? Have you thought about that? You know, you can get into a home about the same price or a little bit less than a rental, and you're building equity. So ask those questions. A lot of times they'll say, yeah, but we probably won't qualify. Well, why is that? Oh, it's our credit. Well, what do you think your credit score is? Oh, it's probably a 640. Well, sometimes you only need a 620, and sometimes lenders can work magic and get you in as low as 580. So, you know, ask them, especially if they're a veteran and things like that. You have the VA loan, tons of things with, you know, 0% down payment. They just have to have earnest money and the other closing costs available. So there are so many things. There's first-time homebuyer incentives and programs out there. So you don't know if they're going to qualify. They might not think that their income is enough. So you can ask those questions and say, hey, you know what? Let me put you with one of my trusted lenders. They're going to be able to at least tell you where you need to go and how you can buy a home maybe in 3, 6, 9, 12 months from now. So that way you can get on the right track. And then I will usually wait to see what the mortgage person says, and they might be able to get in a home now. So now maybe you're just looking for a short-term lease, or you might be able to get them right away into a home. So be sure to ask questions, because you don't know what the future looks like for them. You don't know who they're going to recommend. There's one guy in particular, and I can't remember his name right now, but he did leases. He was broke, and now he is literally owner of a brokerage because of the people he helped lease homes to in college. They were Ivy League schools, and now they bought $1 million homes. They have great, successful businesses, and they want and made him a broker of the brokerage they started. So you don't know where those leases will take you and what the future looks like. So if you don't have a deal, you have no excuse not to have one now. So get after them. And again, I hope you found this helpful. I want to help you always scale your real estate business as well. And if you have any questions about what I went over, drop them in the comments below, or maybe reach out to me. And if you want more coaching, training, courses like this, take a look at partnering with me at eXp Realty inside the Wolfpack. This is what we do, especially for new agents. We can get you on the right track. If you are a team or a brokerage, we can help you provide amazing resources to your brokerage, to your team, so you don't have to stress out over that. All you have to do is bring your brand over as is, and you can take a look at that. So there's a link below if you want to learn more of how to get all of this resources, training, coaching for free at no extra cost or split to you. Book a one-on-one call with me today. So there's a link below for that. And again, if you want to see more content like this, you know what to do. Subscribe to my channel, give this video a like, hit that notification bell, and I will see you guys in the next video.